So life is kind of crazy sometimes when it comes to our finances. But I know a lot of us are struggling to save money, such as me sometimes. But I will say there is a strategy I do know that will help us save you a lot of money if you're just the average worker. It's helped me a lot, get up to like $5,000 pretty quickly, and it will help you all too. What's up, everybody? I'm Marks Games, and today I'm going to tell y'all how to save money for the average worker. The first way I want to tell y'all about saving money realistically is if you can, bro, if you have a job that lets you work a lot of overtime, I'd say do it. Now, this is obviously the most common way to try to save money because it's actually kind of ironic because when you work a lot of hours, it prevents you from spending a lot of money when you work a lot of these hours. It's happened to me and other people as well. I also know some people that do have a hard time not spending their money when they're not at work or bored or whatever. Sometimes it's affected me when I was like younger, but now like I don't seem to really care about spending as much as I used to, thankfully. But life gets in the way, and it affects all of us whenever we like it or we don't. Obviously, you're going to be a little tired, so definitely try to take a break if you need to and just work your regular 40 at times. But yeah, if you really do need to save a lot of money, working in a lot of overtime or locking in will help you a lot. Another unique strategy to save money too is like if you can get a lot of coupons, if that makes sense. Like if you can get some coupons from the grocery store or whatever you do, and then you just try to use those coupons to consistently buy some stuff. Like even if you don't really regularly buy it, it really does help you save some money in the long run too. Because there's some things I did buy where there was like some certain cereals I did buy, or just certain products like granola bars or just whatever you want, because it really is difficult to try to get what you want. But if you're not really that picky when it comes to coupons, this really did help me quite a bit a few times, and it's really nice, especially if you've seen those like extreme coupon shows, bro. Yeah, it's kind of wild what you could save and what you could do with it. Now, obviously, this one takes a bit of work, unfortunately, but it does happen to pay off if you can find the good deals. Another obvious method that will help you save a lot of money is if you can get some reliable roommates. It really does help quite a bit. I know it's kind of like the most obvious advice, but bro, it is obviously the most common sense way too to save money. The thing is, a lot of us don't like living with people, and I do understand because I do have some trust issues. But honestly, the people I've been living with or they've been living with me has been pretty good because they're some of my family members. The best way to kind of find a ways to save money like this too is that like make sure that they have a clean record if needed, or just have a friend that is really good with their money. Now this one's a bit of a double-edged sword, obviously, because some people lose friendships over this. So do it to somebody that you don't want to lose some friends over or whatnot, because in this economy, man, we all need some type of roommate or something to get started saving money until we can get ahead of ourselves. Now, this method actually goes with how you can like look at your paychecks, right? Like the best example is this method called the 33% method, where 33% of your paycheck goes to savings, 33% of your check goes to bills, and then 33% goes to whatever you need to or for spending money. Obviously, if you have any money left over, I would suggest to take that type of money too to throw it in your savings. Now, this method does not always work for everybody, and it really does depend how expensive your bills are. But if you do have some roommates, or if not, if you just have a decent amount of income, it really can help you save a lot of money in the long run. And you also live frugal with the situation if you have to a little bit. Now, it won't guarantee you to be wealthy or rich, but it will definitely help you quite a bit if you need some money saved. Like, here's an example of one of my paychecks, right? One of my paychecks, I got about 611 bucks for just working basic 35 hours, which honestly isn't too terrible, right? So what you do is you take about 33% of that paycheck, obviously, and that will be about... Now, $203 doesn't sound a whole lot of money on paper, but if you just times that by 4 or even 5 weeks, because sometimes the payrolls go 4 to 5 times a week, that you could be easily saving about 1,200 bucks realistically and be able to get more ahead the more you do it without completely overspending too. Now, some people don't have this type of discipline, but it really is worth it once you get used to it, because it is a bit of an adjustment for some people's lifestyles. But for me, I'm more of a frugal cheapskate type of person. So for me, this isn't as bad as other would take this. Now, if you're on the more fortunate side and you got family members that still love you in your 20s and they'll let you live with you, Obviously, take advantage of that if you got them, because there's a lot of people in this world that don't have parents, obviously, that can rely on them in that situation. So if you're really young and you're still with your parents, but you want to move out, but you're trying to rush it, I would strongly suggest not to rush this type of shit. Now, most of us are a bit grown watching this channel, so I will say is that if you're still living with your parents just to save money because of the economy, no problem with you, dude. Like, I props to you, honestly. As long as you do your fair share of doing house chores or whatnot, and obviously pay your share of rent if they do give you a share of rent. Most of the time it does work out pretty well, and you're not a bum for doing something like this, because honestly, you're just helping your folks out if you do it the right way. Now, this method is also another pretty obvious one, is limit yourself when going out to eat. Now, this one's pretty difficult, I will say, though. It's easier said than done. But I will say is there's a few things that will cost not as much money that help you eat a little bit healthier too. Like for me on the healthier side, if I want veggies, I'll get carrots for $1. Usually there's a lot of carrots at like a grocery store like Aldi or even Walmart. You can get them from pretty cheap, even if it's like $2 or $3 at most. I also would get bananas for fruit, because bananas are extremely cheap if you get them by the pieces or even by the pound. It just really depends. Most bananas I get usually cost about like $1 or $2 for a whole batch, and it's really not that bad, honestly, just to eat a little bit better as well. Now, for actual sandwiches or meals, a lot of people really underestimate the power of like a turkey sandwich, bro. Like, if you can eat a turkey sandwich every day to work when you're making your lunch or whatever, it really does help you save a lot of money, because there was times too where I even bought bologna recently, and it was about $2, right? And I also just brought bread to work and just made my sandwiches at work, because it was easier to make your food at work, and I'm sometimes lazy, right? So when I do that, it's $2 that will get expanded out for the whole week. Now, in reality, a lot of people, when they go eat food at the vending machine, especially at my job, the vending machine be up to like fucking $5 to $15 depending on what you get. And yes, it is that expensive at the vending machine. And I can't help but see a lot of people getting ripped off by it just simply because they don't want to bring their own lunch, which is absolutely wild. Or even worse, when they DoorDash the food to them, when they get like, $10 food for like $30 due to the delivery fees. Another thing that's really underrated, but for a lot of people that need to help save money, but they need some important things, is going to like discount stores or even going to like the thrift stores. Now, there's a lot of underrated things that you could find inside a Salvation Army or this amazing thrift store that my girlfriend and I found called Red Racks. Now, this may not be in every single area, but this like thrift store was super big, and they have this crazy deal where you can get like a lot of stuff for very cheap or reasonable prices. And a lot of stuff during holidays like Halloween had like Halloween decorations and shit for dirt cheap too. Or just basic clothes and just necessities or house appliances, Because nowadays, man, getting stuff brand new is really expensive. So there's a lot of things that are in good condition that are used that will help you save a lot of money if you need that type of stuff. Also, a very good way to save money in an underrated way is if you don't trust yourself with your spending habits, but you really want to discipline yourself, what you should do is like get another card, right? Like another card that's just for savings or something, and stash all your money into your savings account. Now, here is the tricky part, right? Hide your card somewhere, and like somewhere that you trust, right? And don't even touch it, but throw your card in a savings account. And make sure you find a way not to touch your savings account when you do this. Or even better, if you can just get a fucking envelope, just cash out cash from your card and just put it in an envelope somewhere and stash it and just leave it alone and just get into that routine of doing that all the time. Trust me, you're going to find some stuff really racking up pretty quickly when you're just ignoring that stash of cash. And you're getting used to that limited type of income as well. Now, this one does take a bit of routine and work, but I will say it does pay off quite a bit. And I have done this a few times, especially if it came to anything important like such as paying bills. Another excellent way of saving money is a lot of us have a spending habit for wants. But if you still want to get wants but still save a lot of money, delay those wants to every once in a while, kind of similar to how you did as a kid. Now, this one's also difficult for a lot of people, but for me, I've gotten used to buying some wants like as a treat, like once a month, or just maybe once every couple months. Now, once you kind of get used to this, it's kind of nice. Like, for example, a while back, I bought this laptop that I wanted, right? But I waited like 2 or 3 months before if I still wanted it or not. And actually, I still wanted it for the YouTube videos and content creation. And yes, it did in fact pay off, and it was one of the most important assets for this YouTube channel as well. And I'm pretty happy about it, honestly. I'm still using it and it's still going strong, very good. Ironically, this kind of goes into another tip too, is if you can get stuff used, but in good condition, that's like electronics or whatever, at like pawn shops, like other stuff too, like some cheaper electronic stores or anything with a discount or deal, such as like events like Black Friday. That's also worth it too if you're patient, because being patient when it comes to either for deals or just for buying once really does pay off, because everyone needs to treat ourselves every once in a while in order for us to stay sane, or else a lot of us will go crazy. And the last thing I do want to say before I go is, if you want to cook a lot of food at home but you don't know how, bro, look up the Dollar Tree fucking, cheap cookbook. I'm not even kidding, man. The Dollar Tree cookbook is so cheap, and actually has some really decent meals that you can make at, like, the dollar store for a good amount of money. Now, obviously, it's a budget thing, right? But it really does pay off a lot. Or else, if you're making small things like rice or black beans, fucking pasta or cheese or homemade mac and cheese, you could slap American cheese on it and stuff and make small proportions inside of it too, just to make it taste a little unique, and add different spices and stuff to make it unique. You could just throw a bunch of random shit when it comes to cooking too, to kind of help you make it taste good depending on what you make. My favorite thing to make that's pretty cheap too, that I haven't made in a while but it's really good, is homemade pita bread pizzas. Just get pita bread, tomato sauce, a little bit of cilantro, pepperoni or whatever, cheese, throw it in the oven. If you don't want cheese, that's fine, because some people are vegan. And it's like $5 to $10 for like a bunch of free cheap pizzas that you can make throughout the week. It's pretty good, and it's actually a very underrated type of way to budget and eat good too. And one more honorable mention, there was a strategy some guy did to help save himself some money too, was he took his tax returns, right? Because the tax returns are really big when you file your taxes. And he would just throw them like somewhere in a money pit, like in his house that he made, or a tip jar, his tax returns over time. And he did it for a long ass time randomly, and he had like a random $10,000 saved up over time, which is crazy. Apparently, if you just don't spend your tax returns or just whatever extra money you make that's not from your job, throw it in a tip jar if necessary, because some people do that. It does sound very bizarre and a little bit time consuming because of how long you have to wait. But bro, if it does work, it works, man. I guess the best way to save money is if you forget about what's the amount in there. Anyways, everybody, I've been rambling quite a bit, but thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you all find this very helpful. Now, if you know any extra really unique tips or strategies to help you all save some more money for just the average worker or American, feel free to let me know, because I will say I am not a finance guy or nothing, but I do know how to live a little frugal if necessary when it comes to hard times, or just to get ahead a little bit. But sometimes, like I said, life can get in the fucking way and destroy everything very quickly. So it's very best to come prepared. Until further ado, thank you all for your patience. I finally got a new cord for my microphone because it wasn't working, and tomorrow my electricity should be restored at my apartment, so I shouldn't have to go around fucking random places just to make videos on my laptop, thank God. So thank you all for listening and your patience, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.